In the last video, we learned how to turn a schematic drawing of what we wanted to build into a real world, actually built version of that thing, so that LED could be blinked by the Arduino. But you might not have a physical Arduino and a breadboard with you. You might be using a simulator. And so we're going to look at how you can use Tinkercad to achieve the same thing. So I'm actually going to put these two side by side. I'm going to put Tinkercad on the left and our schematic on the right, and we're just going to rebuild it just as we did before, except we're going to be doing it in software, of course. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to grab this part, the Arduino, and rotate it by clicking there. I just like it to be oriented the same way that the drawing is oriented and the same way I sort of think of that board. And I'm going to actually use a breadboard. So I can scroll down to the breadboard and drag that piece into here. And I know it's getting a little crowded. I'm going to take the breadboard, click up here, and rotate it. And this is going to behave just like the actual physical breadboard. You know, it's following the same rules. I'm, by the way, using my scroll wheel to zoom in and out of that drawing. So coming out of pin 8, I'm going to make some connection to a resistor. How do I make a connection? Well, I'm just going to zoom in. I'm using my scroll wheel. I'm going to drag from pin 8 to some place. So how about like row 16? I'm clicking there, and now that made a wire. That wire happens to be green. Green is a perfectly fine color. If I want to change it, I could do that or whatever. Now I need a resistor. So I'm going to go back over here. Resistor. I'm going to drag a resistor into the design. I'll put it like that. I could also rotate the resistor, but I'm happy with that orientation. I need a 250 ohm resistor, so it turns out I can choose any resistance I want. I don't need to settle for the resistors that exist in the actual drawer, so I can just put 250 in there and just type 250, hit enter, and it will become a 250 ohm resistor. And by the way, it will actually change the colors to be the correct value. The next thing is I have an LED, so I'll just drag an LED in. Now you'll notice if I hold the LED off to the side and roll in there a little bit, it's showing one kind of bent leg and one straight leg. The bent leg is the longer leg. It is called an anode, technically. It's where the power comes in, and the cathode is the straight leg. It's where the power goes out. So we need to keep that in mind. Now, if I were to try to drag that LED up into here, both legs of the LED are going into the same row of the board, which is not good, because now I'm just connecting the legs of the LED to each other. I'm not respecting this schematic, so that's the wrong way to do it. I'm just going to have to rotate it. Click, 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 like that, 90 degrees. And now, oops, I was just moving the breadboard instead of the LED. So now I can just drag the LED and put it, for instance, right there. So it's comparing, so we got the purple wire is going here through the resistor, through the LED, and then the last thing it has to do is go to ground. Well, I'll just take a connection from here, click once, to ground, click once, and I'm going to change the color to black because that's the conventional color for ground wires. The last thing I could do, I'm going to move the board a little bit, is just double click these, and I can make nice straight little paths. That just pretties things up, and it makes it clearer how wires are connected to things. So Tinkercad is not radically different from the real world. It kind of looks like the same sorts of connections. And once you can do that in Tinkercad and the real world, you can hopefully just, oops, lost my video, I banged into it, go back and forth between them as much as you need to.